everyone, welcome back to the Chelsweets kitchen. Today I'm going to show you how to make Bert the Bumblebee.
We're going to be using a black cake base, and we're going to be frosting it with yellow buttercream and a little bit of black for the stripes. So just like always, we start with some buttercream on our cake base, and that's just to secure our first cake layer to our cake base. We're using my favorite vanilla cake recipe, which I have dyed black using some gel food coloring. And we're now going to spread some of our vanilla buttercream between our layers. If you want to learn how to make this buttercream, I have a tutorial on my Baking Basics playlist, and you can go check that out. The link is in the comment section below. So I'm going to keep stacking my cake layers and frosting them. And once we're done stacking, we'll apply a thin crumb coat. So now that we have all of our frosting on, I'm going to use a bench scraper to smooth out our sides. And it's really important that you use a crumb coat on cakes, especially like this, because when you have a dark cake base and a bright colored frosting, you don't want any crumbs to show through your final product. So this helps really lock in everything in the cake, and that way when you apply your second layer of frosting, it'll be nice and smooth, and you won't be able to see any crumbs. So your crumb coat doesn't need to be thick, it just needs to trap everything in. So I'm scraping off any excess right now, and I'm going to smooth out the top by dragging in towards me just like that. We're going to do this all around the cake, and then we're going to pop this into the freezer for about 5 minutes until it's firm to the touch. So now that our crumb coat is firm to the touch, it's time to make our bumblebee stripes. So I've taken buttercream and I've put it into piping bags, and I've cut open the ends about 1.5 centimeters thick. So we're going to go around and make some nice smooth stripes. So we're going to start with yellow, and you don't need a ton of frosting here. The key is just to make sure that you're applying an even amount as you go around. So you can take your time with this. So next we'll do black. I like to start and end in the same place every time. There we go. We'll repeat this process until we get to the top of the cake. We have a little bit of space here at the top, so we're just going to fill in with our remaining yellow. And it's easier if you finish your top stripe the same color that you plan to frost the top of your cake, because you can drag over as you pull into the top of your cake, and it's a lot more difficult if you do 2 different colors there. It's definitely possible, but you'll have to be a lot more careful as you smooth your frosting. So I'm going to smooth out my top with my offset spatula, and then I'm going to get to work with our bench scraper. Using a spare bowl that you have, we're going to take our bench scraper, we're going to set it level against our cake base, and we're going to slowly pull and turn the cake. We're going to get a lot of excess frosting on the back of our bench scraper, so as we do this, we're going to pause and scrape off the excess buttercream into our bowl. So I think we're ready to begin. Let's press this here and just drag really nice and slow, and you want to make this as long of a motion as you can. So you can see I have a lot of excess buttercream there, and I'm just going to scrape it off. It's another reason why you really want to make sure you get nice long strokes here. Now that our stripes are on our cake, we're going to smooth the top by pulling the excess across the cake. So now it's time to make our fondant decorations for our bumblebee. So for the bumblebee's wings, we're going to use a heart-shaped cookie cutter, which is about 1.5 inches tall here. And we're just going to cut out 2 cute little hearts. And we're also going to insert some toothpicks into our wings before they dry. And that way it'll be really easy for us to apply these to the cake. Next, we're going to roll out just a touch of our pink fondant to make the cheeks of our bumblebee. So these circles are about 1.5 centimeters wide, and we'll set them off to the side to dry as well. So for his eyes, we're going to use a smaller circle. This is a little bit less than 1 centimeter across, and for the mouth of my bumblebee, I'm going to take 1 inch across circle cookie cutter, and I'm going to just cut out a little arch. just like that. Our last step now is to make our antennas. So for this, I'm gonna re-roll out my fondant. So using a little bit of our black fondant that we had, I have rolled out a nice uniformed strip. We're going to cut that fondant to be about the length, a little bit shorter than the length of our toothpick here, because we're also going to put a ball on top of it. So we want these to be pretty thick because we're actually going to be inserting the toothpicks into them. So once you've inserted your toothpick, you can kind of re-roll out just to make sure that it's nice and smooth and you have the shape that you're after. I like to push it all the way through because we want a little bit of it to stick into the cake, but we also are going to put a little black ball on top. So it's important that you have a toothpick on both sides. So there's our first antenna. We're going to repeat this process to make our second antenna, and then we're going to set these aside to dry. Now that we have our fondant cake decorations all ready to go, it's time to put them onto our cake. So we're going to begin by putting the Bumblebee's eyes on. And we're not going to put these directly in the center of the cake. We're going to bring them a little bit lower to really give this a cartoonish feel. Next, we're going to put on the Bumblebee's mouth and then his cheeks. And we're going to stick our Bumblebee's antennas in just like that. And then our last step is going to be to put on his wings. And just like that, Bert the Bumblebee is complete.
Thanks so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to click the like and subscribe button below. To see the recipe for this cake, you can find it in the comment section below and also on Chelsweets.com. You can also see more of my creations on Instagram at Chelsweets. Without further ado, let's cut into this cake.